6 months ago, I was terrified of creating YouTube videos. What would I even talk about? Would I be able to look at the camera? And how cringeworthy would these videos really be? But despite all of that, I committed to becoming a better public speaker and creating YouTube videos. And in the last 6 months, I've created 20 of them. And I've made tons of mistakes, but I've also got a few things right and learned a handful of lessons. And those are what I want to share in today's video, which is if you're thinking about becoming a better public speaker or creating YouTube videos, here are 4 things that I wish I knew starting my journey that would have made my path a lot less stressful and a lot easier. So the first one actually comes with being real with you. This is not my first channel creating YouTube videos. For my last company, we created a bunch of them for marketing purposes. And these are the sorts of videos you'll see in other channels, the ones with the cuts and the edits and the slides and the whizzes and bangs. And they can serve an incredible purpose. I watch tons of those videos. That's not what I wanted to do in this channel. The focus was, how do I make it easy for myself just to record videos and get the reps and sets of doing the thing? And you've probably heard that story of the ceramics class where the teacher has the goal of create the perfect pot. Now, she separates one group of kids into creating volume and just the consistency of just creating pots. And the second group focus on the theory and the research behind the perfect pot. And you know who creates the best pots? Group A. Because they're focused on just the volume and the reps and sets of doing it. And that's the first lesson, which is make it easy for yourself, where you can just walk in, turn the light on, hit record, and just go for it. And try and avoid the months or the weeks of editing, cutting, slicing and dicing, all those things. It's going to slow you down and get you away from the volume that you actually need to improve your skills. That's the first one. The second one is, even when you have volume, that's not enough, because you've got to figure out, what do I talk about in all these videos? Now, for me, there was a major change in my life when I read this book called Storyworthy by Matthew Dix, where it's all about telling stories. And the key thing is, how do you capture stories to tell? And he has this thing called story work, where basically each day you just capture the story in a spreadsheet or a note-taking app. And when you start capturing these things, not only do you realize how rich your life can be with all these stories that happen each day, but also trying to figure out the meaning of those stories, because that's where the true magic is. Everybody has stories, but being able to pull out the meaning from a story and give it to someone where they can take it, put it in their back pocket and use in their life or drive change in their life, that's where the real magic happens. That's my key second lesson, which is figure out your style and how you can make it repeatable. Now, for me, it was about capturing those stories, bundling them up and sharing them. And that content type's worked so far, so good for me. I'll need to branch out in future, but the key second lesson is figure out what is your style and how can you make it repeatable. That's number 2. Now, the third one comes from the cringe when you actually start doing it. Now, you probably see that meme where it has the person going up Cringe mountain, and there's all these naysayers at the bottom of the mountain, and the person climbing up, pushing a boulder, trying to get to the other side of the mountain, which is the land of cool. Now, I'm not trying to get to the land of cool, but I am trying to improve my public speaking skills. And when you do that, you often have fear, uncertainty, or doubt in actually doing it. And where this can manifest in really destructive ways is when you're actually recording. Because you hit record and you'll stuff things up. I stuff things up all the time. It's like you'll mispronounce a word, or you'll fumble something, or you try and say something that didn't quite land the way you wanted to say. And it can be such a temptation to stop, to pause, and to run it back again. But that just slows you down. It takes away from the authenticity and the skills you need to improve and push through it. That's the third thing. Be, as they call, one take Tony. You just want to rip one video all the way through. Don't worry about cutting and editing it, because it's going to slow you down and it'll become a handicap for you of always having to cut and stop things. That's the third lesson. One take Tony. And the fourth lesson is hopefully the one which I think is going to be the most helpful for you, which is the scariest part of all of it was actually that first video. Sort of like a cold shower or a cold swimming pool. It was scary to think about jumping in. It's going to be cold. It's going to be uncomfortable, unnatural. And the hardest part is actually just geeing yourself up and just jumping into the water. And once you're in there, once you're actually creating videos or doing this, you'll find that's actually less scary than you thought it was. Because from the exposure therapy, you actually get acquainted to it and it becomes a lot more comfortable and a lot less scary or difficult. So those are my 4 lessons. Now, if you're thinking about improving your public speaking skills or starting a YouTube channel, let this be your sign that you can do it. Everything you need is within you already. All you got to do is just be brave, hit record, and publish. If you enjoyed this, let me know. I'll see you in the next one.